All right, so let's talk about day one tips. So these are three things that I've talked about a bunch of times on stream. They keep coming up in a lot of my replay reviews, in the beginner tournaments, and I always say these are three things that I recommend that every beginner should learn literally day one with Guilty Gear, because it's all about developing good habits. And all three of these things are actions that you're going to do over and over and over again, sometimes in the same round. And if you don't learn the optimal way to do them early, you will have a hard time unlearning later once you realize that you want to start doing this stuff. So it's all pretty easy stuff, so it's not very hard to learn day one, and it's just going to help you increase your win percentage. So let's jump right into it. The first thing is throw OSing. This is by far the most important. I've talked about this a million times, but basically in Guilty Gear, when you throw, you have to hit forward or back and H. And if the opponent escapes your throw in some way, usually by jumping, sometimes by backdashing, you're gonna, if you hit 4 or 6 plus H, you are gonna get 4H or 6H, which is usually not ideal for most characters. So let's look at an example of this. So here I've got the recording set up to do a tick throw. So, and you can see I jump out of it pretty easy, and the 6H usually whiffs depending on when I jump. But when I do jump over it, it leaves Soul wide open, and I can get a punish. Right? So not great for Soul here. But what you can do is you can kind of take advantage of the input priority system in Guilty Gear. And in Guilty Gear, the lowest strength button has the highest priority, so that would be punch. So you can actually hit any button at the same time when you perform your forward throw, and if you don't get your throw, you'll get that button instead. Now throw still has a higher priority than either button, so if you can throw, you will, but if you can't, you'll get your extra button instead. So here on my second recording, I've got Soul doing the same exact tick throw setup, but here, instead of just doing 6H to try to throw, he's doing 6K and H together. And again, what happens is when I jump out of it, instead of getting 6H, he's going to get 6K, which Soul doesn't have a 6K, so he's just going to get 5K, and I will get anti-aired. So this is clearly way better, and you can see if I don't jump, I still get thrown. But if I jump, I get tagged by the 5K on the way up. So for most characters, your throw OS is going to be some kind of button that hits upwards or is very fast, or ideally a combination of those, like here, to try to catch people jumping or trying to evade your throw. One very important thing to note is that this only works for forward throw. If you try to do this on a back throw, you hit 2 buttons and 4, you're going to get a faultless defense. So for back throws, you just gotta wing it. You just gotta hit 4H and hope you get it. But anytime you forward throw, you should probably be trying to do this. You'll just have to figure out which is the right button to use for your character. For some characters, it's close slash. For Soul, it's 5K or 6K. A lot of characters, it's 6P. It just really depends on the character. And one last thing, one little other caveat is if you play a charge character, be very careful also if you've been blocking for a long time, that if you try to do a throw OS with forward throw, that you don't accidentally get a charge move with whatever button you're trying to throw OS with. So careful of that. So that's number one. Number two is holding block. So this is something that really is not Guilty Gear specific. This is just fighting game 101 really. You should really be doing this in any fighting game that you play. Whenever you're doing a combo or just a block string, just anything where you are doing some kind of Gatling, or it doesn't even have to be a Gatling, it can be a link, you want to be holding back or down back whenever possible. So what do I mean by that? So here I've got a recording with Soul where he's doing 2P, 2P, 2P sweep, right? Very, very, very simple combo. Very effective though. Now the way I've recorded this is Soul is actually doing exactly what I said, 2P, 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 2D. He's holding straight down on the stick. Okay? And what that means is if I burst, it works every time, because at no point is Soul even attempting to block this burst. Right? Doesn't matter, when I burst, it's always going to hit him. However, you can do the same exact string slightly better, because instead of holding 2 and hitting PPP, you can hold 1 and hit PPP. And in a lot of cases, it's going to make your string burst safe, dead angle safe, sometimes even reversal safe, depending on what reversal they do, if it's slow or something like that. Now, it's not always going to be 100% safe from all these things, but the point is that it's free to do. It doesn't cost you anything. So even if it only makes your string 20% burst safe or 30% burst safe, that's a free 20 or 30%. So in this case now, I've got Sol doing the exact same thing, but he's holding 1. So here you can see it looks exactly the same, and this is why I'm saying it's free, because on hit or block, if they don't do anything, it's exactly the same as holding straight down. But here, if I burst, see, it's not 100% burst safe, but it's mostly burst safe. And there's no downside, literally no downside. So again, the idea here is that take a step back and look at your strings, your combos, and anywhere you can be holding back, even in the air. Also, when you're doing your air combos, your air gatlings, if you can hold back, you probably should be holding back. Now, obviously, there's sometimes you can't. You have to do, 6P or 6K or 6H or something. Obviously, you just got to hit the button and do what you need to do. But anytime you're doing a standing normal on, just a typical standing normal or a crouching normal, most of the time you can do this, and it's just going to be strictly beneficial. There's literally no downside. So that's number 2. Number 3, last but not least, is teching into FD. So what is this? So let's do a new recording here, and let's just record Sol doing this. So tell me if this looks familiar. You get hit with this, and then you don't know exactly when to tech, and you kind of mash your tech. And as soon as you get your tech, a button comes out, right? Because you were mashing, right? You get a jump K, or you're trying to back tech, and you get this, and you kind of put yourself out there where you're wide open because you don't have control over your character. Your button whiffs, and you're kind of just wide open. So what you can do in these cases is a slightly better way to tech backwards. There's almost no downside, and it only works on back tech. We'll talk about that in a second, but instead of just hitting one button to tech, you can actually hold a button while you're in hit stun, and then hold back for a back tech, and then press another different button. And what will happen is at that point, you can just mash the one button, and instead of getting the button after you tech, because you're holding the first button as well, your second button will be the second button that you're hitting, and you will get a faultless defense instead of the button. So let's see this again. So you can see here I get faultless on the way down. So you can see my inputs, I'm holding P, and then I'm just mashing K, but I never get jump K. I only get faultless on the way down. And we can even improve this one step further, where we can hold the one button. I like to hold P because it's on my thumb and then my fingers are free. So I hold P, and then you can actually drum the other buttons to get multiple tech chances, multiple tech opportunities. So you want to kind of piano the buttons, and then you're really optimizing your tech because you're getting the most chances to tech, but you're also doing it safely where you're not going to whiff a button if you get the tech. So again, that looks like this. And you can see, even though I'm basically mashing, I never get an accidental button, and I retain control of my character, so as soon as I visually see that I've teched, I can take control of my character. Now again, this only works on a back tech, because if you try to do this on a forward tech, you're not going to get FD, because you're holding forward, not back. So similar to the throw OS thing, if you want to tech forward, you're kind of on your own. You got to just be precise and be careful that you don't accidentally get a button. But a lot of the time, you do back tech, and in those cases, this can really help you avoid accidental inputs. So again, I think these are 3 very simple, slight optimizations that it's useful to learn day 1, so that a month from now, you don't have to go back and unlearn a bad habit and relearn it. It's way easier to learn it right away. And I also think this idea can be applied, these ideas can be applied to a lot of other fighting games. So especially stuff like holding back whenever possible, stuff like that. So Yeah, so good luck, and yeah, learn this stuff early rather than later.